Agenda. City Council Regular Meeting. Folsom City Hall City Council Chambers, 1st floor 50, Natoma Street, Folsom, California, 95630. August 26, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Welcome to your City Council meeting. We welcome your interest and involvement in the city's legislative process. This agenda includes information about topics coming before the City Council and the action recommended by city staff. You can read about each topic in the staff reports, which are available on the city website and in the office of the city clerk. The city clerk is also available to answer any questions you have about City Council meeting procedures. Participation. If you would like to provide comments to the City Council, please fill out a blue speaker request form, located at the back table. Submit the form to the city clerk before the item begins. When it's your turn, the city clerk will call your name and invite you to the podium. Speakers generally have 3 minutes, unless the presiding officer, usually the mayor, changes that time. Reasonable accommodations. In compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, if you are a person with a disability and you need a disability-related modification or accommodation to participate in this meeting, please contact the city clerk's office at 916-461-6035, 916-355-7328, fax, or City Clerk Department at folsom.ca.us. Requests must be made as early as possible and at least 2 full business days before the start of the meeting. How to watch. The City of Folsom provides 3 ways to watch a City Council meeting. In person, online, on TV. 1. City Council meetings take place at City Hall, 50, Natoma Street. Watch the live stream and replay past meetings on the city website, www.folsom.ca.us. Watch live and replays of meetings on SAC Metro Cable TV, Channel 14. More information about City Council meetings is available at the end of this agenda. City Council Regular Meeting. Folsom City Hall City Council Chambers, 1st floor 50, Natoma Street, Folsom, California, 95630. www.folsom.ca.us. Tuesday, August 26, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Sarah Aquino, Mayor. Mike Kozlowski, Council Member Barbara Leary, Council Member Justin Rathel, Vice Mayor Anna Rohrbaugh, Council Member. Agenda. Call to order. Roll call. Council Members, Rathel, Rohrbaugh, Kozlowski, Leary, Aquino. The City Council has adopted a policy that no new item will begin after 10:30 p.m. Therefore, if you are here for an item that has not been heard by 10:30 p.m., you may leave, as the item will be continued to a future council meeting. Pledge of Allegiance Agenda Update. Business from the floor. Members of the public are entitled to address the City Council concerning any item within the Folsom City Council's subject matter jurisdiction. Public comments are generally limited to no more than 3 minutes. Except for certain specific exceptions, the City Council is prohibited from discussing or taking action on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Scheduled presentations. 1 Mid-cycle housing element and housing fund update. Consent calendar. Items appearing on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved by one motion. Council members may pull an item for discussion. 2 Approval of the August 12, 2025 special and regular meeting minutes. 3 Ordinance Number 1355, an ordinance of the City of Folsom adding Chapter 8.39, Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances, to the Folsom Municipal Code to prevent, remove, and abate behavioral nuisances that negatively affect people, properties, and businesses in the community, second reading and adoption. 4 Resolution Number 11438, a resolution adopting an initial study and mitigated negative declaration, is/MND, for the Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project and approval of project. 5 Resolution Number 11440, a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept a cannabis tax fund grant program offered by the California Highway Patrol, in the amount of $248,391.30 to reduce and mitigate the impacts of impaired driving, provide DUI enforcement and training, police vehicles, and appropriation of funds in the General Fund, Fund 010. 6. Resolution number 11450, a resolution authorizing public fireworks displays during the Sacramento County Sheriff's Rodeo on October 4, 2025. 7. Resolution number 11451, a resolution accepting a grant of $42,000 from the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, program for the Glen Drive and School Street Intersection Improvements Project, project number 2409, and authorizing the city manager to execute construction change order number 1 with B&M Civil LLC in the amount of $38,082 and appropriation of funds in the CDBG Fund, Fund 201. 8. Resolution number 11452, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a design and engineering consultant services agreement with REY Engineers, Inc. in the amount of $659,964 using $400,000 from a federal grant and $259,964 from the Transportation Improvement Fund, Fund 446, and authorize a partial notice to proceed for project approval and environmental design, PA/ED, tasks for an amount not to exceed $281,278 for the Riley Street Safety Improvement Project, Project No. PW 2101, an appropriation of funds in the Transportation Improvement Fund, Fund 446. 9. Resolution number 11453, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a 2-year agreement with 2040 Enterprise LLC, DBA Bio 1 Sacramento, for $157,456 from the General Fund, 010, for homeless encampment cleanup projects at various locations throughout the city of Folsom. Public hearing. 10. Ordinance number 1354, an uncodified ordinance of the City of Folsom approving a development agreement by and between the City of Folsom and Broadstone Crossing Phase 2, LLC and Elliott Homes, Incorporated relating to the development known as Broadstone Crossing Phase 2, Introduction and First Reading. 11. Ordinance number 1356, an uncodified ordinance adopting prima facie speed limits on East Bidwell Street, Westwood Drive, Alder Creek Parkway, Grand Prairie Road, and Mangini Parkway, Introduction and First Reading. New business. 12. Appointment of at-large Planning Commissioner to serve the remainder of the term expiring in December 2026. 13. Resolution number 11449, a resolution of the City Council declaring a portion of APN 071-0190076-0000 as exempt surplus land and authorizing disposition of said land through property exchange. 14. Resolution number 11427, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Folsom approving the Affordable Housing Loan Program guidelines to establish a clear framework for providing financial assistance to affordable housing projects, funded by Folsom Housing Fund, Fund 238, and Housing Trust Fund, Fund 221. City Manager reports Council comments adjournment. Notice. Members of the public are entitled to directly address the City Council concerning any item that is described in the notice of this meeting, before or during consideration of that item. If you wish to address Council on an issue, which is on this agenda, please complete a blue speaker request card, and deliver it to a staff member at the table on the left side of the Council chambers prior to discussion of the item. When your name is called, stand to be recognized by the Mayor and then proceed to the podium. If you wish to address the City Council on any other item of interest to the public, when the Mayor asks if there is any business from the floor, follow the same procedure described above. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Notice regarding challenges to decisions, pursuant to all applicable laws and regulations, including without limitation, California Government Code Section 65009 and/or California Public Resources Code Section 21177, if you wish to challenge in court any of the above decisions, regarding planning, zoning and/or environmental decisions, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing, described in this notice/agenda, or in written correspondence delivered to the city at, or prior to, the public hearing. As presiding officer, the mayor has the authority to preserve order at all city council meetings, to remove or cause the removal of any person from any such meeting for disorderly conduct, or for making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, using profanity, or becoming boisterous, threatening or personally abusive while addressing said council, and to enforce the rules of the council. Persons interested in proposing an item for the City Council agenda should contact a member of the City Council. This meeting of the City Council is recorded with closed captioning. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV Uverse cable system, and will be shown in its entirety on the Friday and Saturday following the meeting, both at 9 a.m. The recording will also be video streamed at metro14live.saccounty.government. The city does not control scheduling of this telecast, and persons interested in watching the televised meeting should confirm this schedule with Metro Cable TV, Channel 14. The City of Folsom provides live and archived webcasts of regular City Council meetings. The webcasts can be found on the online services page of the city's website www.folsom.ca.us. In compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, if you are a person with a disability and you need a disability-related modification or accommodation to participate in this meeting, please contact the City Clerk's office at 916-461-6035, 916-355-7328, fax, or City Clerk Department at folsom.ca.us. Requests must be made as early as possible and at least 2 full business days before the start of the meeting. Any documents produced by the city and distributed to the City Council regarding any item on this agenda will be made available at the City Clerk's counter at City Hall located at 50 Natoma Street, Folsom, California, and at the Folsom Public Library located at 411 Stafford Street, Folsom, California during normal business hours. Folsom City Council Staff Report. Meeting date: August 26, 2025. Agenda section. Scheduled presentations. Subject: Mid-cycle housing element and housing fund update. From Community Development Department. Recommendation/City Council action. It is recommended that the City Council receive a presentation from the Community Development Department providing a mid-cycle update on the status of the housing element, along with an overview of the funding sources that have been utilized to advance the goals of the housing element and support broader community housing objectives. Background/issue. The City of Folsom is now halfway through the current 8-year housing element planning period, 2021-2029. This presentation summarizes progress in implementing the housing element, a required component of the general plan under California law. The presentation will outline the status of housing programs and policies, highlight key implementation efforts, and identify next steps to advance the city's housing goals. In addition, staff will provide an overview of the various housing funds available to support housing element objectives, including a summary of how those funds have been allocated to date. This check-in offers the Council an opportunity to assess progress, evaluate alignment with community housing priorities, and provide feedback to help shape future strategies and funding decisions. Housing Element 101. The primary purpose of a housing element is to ensure that local governments plan for the housing needs of all income levels, remove barriers to development, support private market solutions, address constraints to housing, and promote fair and equitable access. It serves as a state-approved blueprint for how communities will grow and meet housing demands. The city's 6th cycle housing element was adopted in August 2021 and establishes the framework for housing policy during the planning period of May 15, 2021, through May 15, 2029. 1. The adopted element re-evaluated the city's housing-related goals and objectives, addressed existing and emerging housing issues, and identified a comprehensive set of programs to support housing development, affordability, and equity. This cycle introduced several new challenges for the city, including the need to accommodate a significantly increased regional housing needs assessment, RHNA, allocation and comply with evolving state housing laws. Among these was SB 166, 2017, the No Net Loss Law, which requires the city's land inventory and site identification programs to maintain sufficient sites to meet any unmet RHNA. Progress to date. The table below summarizes the city's progress in meeting our RHNA. Regional Housing Needs Allocation, RHNA, progress 8-year period. Income level. RHNA allocation of units. Total units built in 2021 and 2024. Total units remaining. Very low, 50% AMI. 2,226. 169. 2.057. Low, 80% AMI. 1,341. 296. 1,045. Moderate, 80 to 120% AMI. 829. 806. 23. Above moderate, plus 120% AMI. 1967. 3062. 0. Totals. 6363. 4333. 3125. In addition to ongoing efforts to meet the city's RHNA obligations, the city has made notable progress in implementing the goals, policies, and programs identified in the adopted housing element. The housing element includes a total of 34 programs, 16 designated as ongoing and 18 with defined implementation timelines for completion. Of these, 5 programs have been completed, 8 are currently in progress, partially implemented, or associated with the zoning code update, and 5 programs have not yet been initiated. Completed highlights. Program H2, approved general plan amendments and EIR certification creating capacity for up to 6,046 additional residential units in targeted areas, new units in order to ensure the city maintains adequate capacity to meet the lower income RHNA throughout the planning period. Program H4, published an ADU design workbook to guide development in the historic district as well as one for ADUs throughout the city. Program H16, sold land at 300 Percy Fetter Street to Habitat for Humanity for 10 affordable homes, now under construction. 2. Programs scheduled for completion in 2025. Program H8, multifamily objective design standards are being finalized and will be presented to the City Council for review in fall 2025. Program H9, consultant has been engaged to evaluate the inclusionary housing in lieu fee, with recommendations expected for Council consideration in fall 2025. Program H11, draft affordable housing loan guidelines have been prepared to guide funding priorities and inform future requests for proposals, RFPs. City Council action is scheduled for August 2025. For the 2025/26 fiscal year, staff intends to prioritize the completion of ongoing projects and the implementation of measures associated with the zoning code update. Additional programs under consideration for this fiscal year include H5 Accessory Dwelling Unit Incentive, H7, Development Impact and Permit Fees, H15 Affordable Development at the Glen/Robert G. Holderness Station, H17 Study the purchase of land for affordable housing, and H18 Prioritize infrastructure for affordable housing. Housing Funding Toolbox. The City of Folsom has utilized a variety of funding mechanisms both past and present to support the development of affordable housing and housing-related activities in alignment with the goals and policies outlined in the housing element. Below is a summary of 4 key city-managed funding sources available for this purpose. Fund 238, Folsom Housing Fund. In 2013, Folsom introduced an inclusionary housing in lieu fee to support affordable housing. The fee equals 1% of the lowest priced unit's sale price in a subdivision, multiplied by the total number of units. Per a legal agreement with the Sacramento Housing Alliance, at least 50% of the collected fees must fund the construction or major rehabilitation of multifamily rentals affordable to low and very low-income households. Fund 221 Housing Trust Fund established in 2002, Folsom's Housing Trust Fund, HTF, supports affordable housing development. The city collects a $2.08 per square foot fee from new commercial projects, reflecting the link between job growth and housing demand. HTF funds are mainly used to fill financing gaps in affordable rental housing projects. Fund 274, Oaks at Willow Springs Fund. This fund was established in 2006 as part of the inclusionary housing requirements for the Oaks at Willow Springs development project. Of the total $3.1 million amount paid by the developer, $2.7 million was designated exclusively for the development of low-income housing units on city-owned property located on Sibley Street, now the site of Granite City Apartments. Fund 280, Bonds Fund. After redevelopment was dissolved in 2012, Folsom lost a major funding source for affordable housing. However, Senate Bill 107, signed in 2015, allowed the city to use pre-2011 redevelopment bond proceeds for housing. This enabled Folsom to secure over $9.6 million, which was invested in multiple affordable housing projects. As of fiscal year end June 2025, the city's total unaudited housing funds cash balance available for affordable housing projects was approximately $23.9 million and is comprised of 4 separate funds, as summarized in the table below. Folsom Housing Funds. Housing Fund Name. Source. Cash Balance. Housing Trust Fund, Fund 221. Commercial Fees. $918,311. Folsom Housing Fund, Fund 238. Inclusionary in lieu fees. $22,804,399. Oaks at Willow Springs, Fund 274. Willow Springs Inclusionary Fee. $25,672. Bonds Fund, Fund 280. Former Redevelopment Bonds. $149,695. Total. $23,898,077. Asterisk. In addition to providing affordable housing financial subsidies, total includes funds utilized for consulting services, special reports, and other housing-related activities. It is important to note of the 4 types of housing funds, only the Folsom Housing Fund, Fund 238, and the Housing Trust Fund, Fund 221, are expected to generate future city housing funds. During the past year, the city collected over $3.8 million in inclusionary in lieu fees as a result of the new single-family housing development, primarily in the Folsom Plan area, and approximately $171,000 in housing trust fund fees associated with new commercial development. In addition to providing affordable housing loans, these funds are used for other housing-related activities such as the housing element update and housing financing consulting services. In addition to city sources of funds, the city utilizes a mix of federal, state, and other housing funds to support affordable housing initiatives. Through its partnership with the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency, SHRA, the city receives Federal Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and the Home Investment Partnership Program, HOME, funds currently. $200,000 annually for the Seniors Helping Seniors program and $800,000 in home funds for a future rental project. State funding from HCD includes competitive grants like HomeKey and infill infrastructure, which require prevailing wage compliance and pose cost challenges. Despite this, Folsom secured $2.5 million in HomeKey funds for the Bidwell Street Studios project. The city also receives a share of Sacramento County's Permanent Local Housing Allocation, PLHA, funds about $161,538 annually. In 2025, current and anticipated future allocations totaling up to $810,000 were committed to Habitat for Humanity to support the Percy Fetter Street Affordable Home Ownership Project. Additionally, the Sacramento Area Council of Governments, SACUG, offers grants to promote housing development and climate-friendly growth through programs like Regional Early Action Planning, REAP, and Green Means Go. These initiatives support infill housing, reduce vehicle miles traveled, and align with regional sustainability goals. Folsom has received multiple SACUG grants, including $41,000 for housing element updates, 2020, $575,000 for Program H2 implementation, 2021, and $374,000 in Green Means Go funds, 2022, for infrastructure improvements tied to the Percy Fetter Street project. Looking ahead, strategic focus and council guidance. As the city enters the second half of the housing element planning cycle, continued focus on strategic implementation, targeted funding, and policy alignment will be essential to achieving long-term housing objectives. Staff remains committed to advancing programs that promote housing affordability, equity, and accessibility across all income levels. Council's input during this mid-cycle review will help guide future priorities, ensure resources are effectively leveraged, and reinforce the city's commitment to meeting its housing obligations in a manner that reflects community values and needs. Submitted. Pam Johns, Community Development Director. This page is intentionally left blank to facilitate double-sided printing and minimize paper use. File 034-2125-001. Folsom City Council Minutes. August 12, 2025. City Council Special Meeting. Minutes. Tuesday, August 12, 2025, 5 p.m. Call to order. The special City Council meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. with Mayor Aquino presiding. Roll call. Council members present: Barbara Leary, Council Member; Justin Rathel, Vice Mayor; Michael Kozlowski, Council Member; Sarah Aquino, Mayor. Council members absent: Anna Rohrbaugh, Council Member. Adjournment to closed session for the following purposes. 1. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, d. 1. Colleen Lawson v. City of Folsom, Sacramento County Superior Court Case No. 25CV016811. 2. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, d. 1. George Umberger, 2. ETAL v. City of Folsom, ETAL, United States District Court for the Eastern District of California Case No. 2:24CV1169 KJMJPD, PS. 3. Conference with labor negotiator, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Agency negotiator, Vance Piggott. Employee organization, various bargaining groups. Motion by Mayor Aquino, second by Council Member Rathel to adjourn to closed session. Motion passed by the following roll call vote. Ayes: Leary, Rathel, Kozlowski, Aquino noes, none. Absent: Rohrbaugh, abstain, none. Draft not official until approved by the City Council. Page 1. Reconvene. City Attorney Stephen Wong announced that no final action was taken during closed session. Adjournment. There being no further business to come before the City Council, the meeting was adjourned at 6:30 p.m. Submitted by Krista Fremantle, City Clerk. Attest: Sarah Aquino, Mayor. File 034-2125-001. Folsom City Council Minutes. August 12, 2025. City Council Regular Meeting. Minutes. Tuesday, August 12, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Call to order. The regular City Council meeting was called to order at 6:30 p.m. with Mayor Aquino presiding. Roll call. Council members present: Barbara Leary, Council Member; Justin Rathel, Vice Mayor Michael Kozlowski, Council Member Sarah Aquino, Mayor. Council Members absent, Anna Rohrbaugh, Council Member. Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance was recited. Agenda Update. City Attorney Stephen Wong advised that there were no agenda updates. Business from the floor. The following speakers spoke under this item as a group. 1. Sherry Richter, Priscilla Schroeder, Sue Spielman, and Peggy Platt. Scheduled presentations. 1. City of Folsom Resolution of Commendation honoring Folsom American Little League 10U All-Stars. Mayor Aquino presented the resolution of commendation. 2. Presentation on Natoma Station Maintenance Assessment District No 2025-02 Informational Update. Municipal Landscape Services Manager Derek Perez made a presentation and responded to questions from the City Council. City Manager Brian Wittamier provided additional information. Draft not official until approved by the City Council. Page 1. Consent Calendar. Items appearing on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved by one motion. Council members may pull an item for discussion. 3. Approval of the July 8, 2025 special and regular meeting minutes. 4. Approval of the July 23, 2025 special meeting minutes. 5. Pulled for discussion. 6. Resolution number 11436, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute amendment number 2 to the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District Licensing Agreement No. E320150006, extending the term of the agreement for an additional 5 years. 7. Pulled for discussion. 8. Pulled for discussion. 9. Resolution number 11441, a resolution receiving report from the Community Development Department on the approval of a parcel map waiver for the Russell Ranch Phase 2, Village 5 project. 10. Resolution number 11444, a resolution approving the donation of specified pieces of the original Folsom Kids Play Castle Park play structure to Folsom Kids Play, for Generations, Inc. 11. Resolution No. 11446, a resolution accepting $67,371 in Department of Homeland Security grant funds awarded through the California Office of Emergency Services and appropriation of funds in the General Fund, Fund 010. 12. Resolution number 11448, a resolution rejecting all bids for the Bidwell Street Storm Drain Replacement Project, project number 2499. Motion by Council Member Kozlowski, second by Council Member Leary to approve consent calendar item NOS 3-4, 6, and 9-12. Motion passed by the following roll call vote. Ayes, Leary, Rathel, Kozlowski, Aquino noes, none. Absent, Rohrbaugh abstain, none. Consent calendar items pulled for discussion. 5. Resolution number 11415, a resolution accepting a grant of $65,000 from the Urban Area Security Initiative, UASI, for the Police Department and authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Peregrine Technologies for $64,000 for a real-time decision and operations management platform and appropriation of funds in the General Fund, Fund 010. Speaker James Tedford requested clarification on several matters related to the grant and contract. Commander Andrew Bates and City Manager Brian Wittamier responded. Motion by Vice Mayor Rathel, second by Council Member Leary to approve Resolution number 11415. Motion passed by the following roll call vote. Ayes, Leary, Rathel, Kozlowski, Aquino noes, none. Absent, Rohrbaugh abstain, none. 7. Resolution number 11437, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with NTU Technologies, Inc. for $387,000 from the Water Operating Fund, Fund 520, for the purchase of chemicals for the water treatment plant. Speaker James Tedford requested clarification on several matters related to the agreement. Environmental and Water Resources Department Director Marcus Yasutaki and City Manager Brian Wittamier responded. Motion by Council Member Kozlowski, second by Council Member Leary to approve Resolution number 11437. Motion passed by the following roll call vote. Ayes, Leary, Rathel, Kozlowski, Aquino noes, none. Absent, Rohrbaugh abstain, none. 8. Resolution number 11439, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Mars Company for $198,875 from the Water Operating Fund, Fund 520, for a software license and maintenance subscription for the meter test bench. Speaker James Tedford requested clarification on several matters related to the agreement. Environmental and Water Resources Department Director Marcus Yasutaki and City Manager Brian Wittamier responded. Motion by Council Member Kozlowski, second by Council Member Leary to approve Resolution number 11439. Motion passed by the following roll call vote. Ayes, Leary, Rathel, Kozlowski, Aquino noes, none. Absent, Rohrbaugh abstain, none. New business. 13. Ordinance number 1355, an ordinance of the City of Folsom adding Chapter 8.39, Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances, to the Folsom Municipal Code to prevent, remove, and abate behavioral nuisances that negatively affect people, properties, and businesses in the community. Introduction and first reading. City Attorney Stephen Wong made a presentation and responded to questions from the City Council. City Manager Brian Wittamier and Community Development Department Director Pam Johns provided additional information. Motion by Vice Mayor Rathel, second by Council Member Kozlowski to approve Ordinance 1355. Motion passed by the following roll call vote. Ayes, Leary, Rathel, Kozlowski, Aquino noes, none. Absent, Rohrbaugh abstain, none. 14. California Department of Transportation Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant Program for a Sustainable Transit Connections to Health Services Planning and Feasibility Study Contracts. I. Resolution number 11442, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Folsom and the Sacramento Regional Transit District regarding the Sustainable Transit Connections to Health Services Planning and Feasibility Study. 2. Resolution number 11443, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Fair and Peers for a Sustainable Transit Connections to Health Services Planning and Feasibility Study contract. Community Development Department Planning Manager Desmond Parrington made a presentation and responded to questions from the City Council. Motion by Council Member Kozlowski, second by Council Member Leary to approve Resolution number 11442. Motion passed by the following roll call vote. Ayes, Leary, Rathel, Kozlowski, Aquino noes, none. Absent, Rohrbaugh abstain, none. Motion by Vice Mayor Rathel, second by Council Member Kozlowski to approve Resolution number 11443. Motion passed by the following roll call vote. Ayes, Leary, Rathel, Kozlowski, Aquino noes, none. Absent, Rohrbaugh abstain, none. City Manager reports. City Manager Brian Wittamier provided updates on CERT volunteer recruitment efforts, MAD recognition received by officers for DUI enforcement activities, expansion of police records services to Fire Station 34, and opening of registration for Community Service Day. Council comments. Council Member Kozlowski reported on the Green Means Go program status and noted the Regional Blueprint Planning Document comment period concluded August 8. Vice Mayor Rathel provided updates from the Sacramento Steps Forward Continuum of Care meeting, highlighting decreased federal funding levels while noting continued strong interagency collaboration. He also reported on his participation in the Sacramento Transportation Authority Subcommittee meeting regarding state and federal transportation funding opportunities. Council Member Leary shared updates from the Sacramento Metro Cable Commission and mentioned upcoming budget discussion sessions planned for the second council meeting in September. Mayor Aquino announced the Sacramento region's recent achievement in meeting the 2008 ozone standard and invited public attendance at a press conference scheduled for August 21 at 10 a.m. at City Hall. Adjournment. There being no further business to come before the City Council, the meeting was adjourned at 7:41 p.m. in honor and memory of Council Member Rohrbaugh's uncle John Hubbard. Submitted by Krista Fremantle, City Clerk. Attest. Sarah Aquino, Mayor. This page is intentionally left blank to facilitate double-sided printing and minimize paper use. Folsom City Council. Staff Report. Meeting date: August 26, 2025. Agenda section. Consent calendar. Subject: Ordinance number 1355, an ordinance of the City of Folsom adding Chapter 8.39, Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances, to the Folsom Municipal Code to prevent, remove, and abate behavioral nuisances that negatively affect people, properties, and businesses in the community. Second reading and adoption. From City Attorney's Office. Recommendation/City Council action. Staff recommends that the City Council conduct second reading and adopt Ordinance number 1355, an ordinance of the City of Folsom adding Chapter 8.39, Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances, to the Folsom Municipal Code to prevent, remove, and abate behavioral nuisances that negatively affect people, properties, and businesses in the community. Background/issue. The City Council introduced and conducted first reading of this ordinance at its August 12, 2025 council meeting. No change has been made to the draft ordinance. The city's code enforcement and law enforcement officers were recently called upon by a resident to assist in abating a public nuisance that had existed in one of the residential houses in that neighborhood for years. The criminal elements at this property festered where certain individuals congregated, lived, and carried out various illegal activities day and night, such as, for example, the sale, purchase, transport, distribution, and use of illegal drugs and controlled substances. The bad actors intimidated the neighbors through aggressive interactions, foul and threatening languages, hostile and menacing gestures from their co-conspirators, and letting aggressive dogs loose in the neighborhood. All those behaviors negatively affected the peace, enjoyment, health, and safety of the neighbors in that neighborhood. 1. The Folsom Municipal Code has a nuisance provision that pertains to maintenance and upkeep of physical properties, but nothing addresses behavioral nuisances that threaten the health, safety, and peaceful enjoyment of people, properties, and businesses. Policy/rule. Under Section 2.12 of the City Charter, amendments to the Folsom Municipal Code require review and approval by the City Council. Analysis. Staff proposed to add a chapter to the Folsom Municipal Code to specifically address behavioral nuisances on any property in the city, such as 1. Illegal sale, use, possession, distribution, or transport of controlled substances or other illegal drugs and substances. 2. Gathering, or coming and going, of people who have an intent to purchase, use, distribute, sell, or transport controlled substances on or from the property. 3. Prostitution. 4. Unlawful activities of a criminal street gang. 5. Making or continuing, or causing to be made and continued, or any loud, unnecessary or unusual noise which disturbs the peace and quiet of the neighborhood, or which causes discomfort or annoyance to any reasonable person of normal sensitiveness residing on the property or in the area. 6. Unlawful discharging of a firearm or brandishing of a weapon by any person. 7. Unlawful fireworks displays. 8. Frequent response by the Folsom Police Department to the real property or the adjacent area, but not the real property of another, as a result of any person or persons causing any combination of the following calls as indicated in the Folsom Police Department Incident Report. A. Animal disturbances, including but not limited to competitive fighting between animals. B. Violent criminal acts, charged or not, including, but not limited to, rape, assault, battery, homicide, or shooting. C. Making hostile or aggressive gestures or threats that disturb the peaceful enjoyment or another person. 2. D. Illegal consumption of intoxicants in public view. E. Gaming activities. F. Juvenile disturbances. The proposed ordinance seeks to hold the property owner responsible to mitigate and abate the nuisance as described. If the owner fails to do so after receiving notice from the city, the proposed ordinance allows the city to proceed with abatement actions through administrative citations and other lawful remedies. The city's cost and expenses will be a lien against the property to repay the city's taxpayers for the expenses incurred to abate public nuisance. Financial impact. No immediate financial impact is expected from these proposed ordinance. Environmental review. The action is exempt under Section 15061, b. 3, the Common Sense Rule of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, because the proposed addition of Chapter 8.39 to the Folsom Municipal Code has no potential to cause significant effects on the environment. Attachment 1. Ordinance Number 1355. An ordinance of the City of Folsom adding Chapter 8.39, Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances, to the Folsom Municipal Code to prevent, remove, and abate behavioral nuisances that negatively affect people, properties, and businesses in the community. Respectfully submitted. Stephen Wong, City Attorney. 3. Attachment 1. Ordinance No. 1355. An ordinance of the City of Folsom adding Chapter 8.39, Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances, to the Folsom Municipal Code to prevent, remove, and abate behavioral nuisances that negatively affect people, properties, and businesses in the community. The City Council of the City of Folsom does hereby ordain as follows. Section 1. Purpose. The purpose of this ordinance is to add Chapter 8.39, Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances, to the Folsom Municipal Code to prevent and allow code enforcement and/or law enforcement to remove and abate harmful behaviors that typically associate with crimes and create blight and decay in the community. Section 2. Addition to Code. Chapter 8.39, Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances, is hereby added to the Folsom Municipal Code to read as follows. Chapter 8.39, Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances. Sections 8.39.010 Finding and Purpose, 8.39.020 Definitions, 8.39.030 Unlawful Behavioral Nuisances, 8.39.040 Declaration of Public Nuisance, 8.39.050 Notification of Nuisance, 8.39.060 Authority to issue administrative citation, 8.39.070 Authority to initiate administrative remedies, 8.39.080 Abatement by City, 8.39.090 Assessment Lien, 8.39.100 Alternative Actions Available, 8.39.110 Violations, 8.39.010 Finding and Purpose. A. Certain behaviors of persons on property within the city are injurious to residents, property owners, and businesses in the community, and as such constitute a public nuisance. Such public nuisances can create conditions that negatively affect one's health, or be indecent or offensive to the senses, or contribute to visual blight, so as to interfere with the safety and enjoyment of life or property by people in the community or neighborhood. The abatement of such behavioral nuisances is important to the city in its fight against blight, decay, deterioration, and crime. Ordinance Number 1355. Page 1 of 7. B. The owners of real properties within the city are responsible for monitoring their properties and for taking appropriate action if a nuisance exists thereon, whether that nuisance is created by existing physical conditions or by nuisance-creating behaviors, or the combination of conditions. Many nuisances can be avoided with active property management. Lack of proper management of real property can create an environment conducive to behaviors that can become a nuisance with repetition and lack of abatement and corrective measures. If a property owner does not fulfill his or her responsibilities, it is necessary for the safety, health, and welfare of the neighborhoods, and the city as a whole, that the city be able to undertake abatement action. C. Because of the profound impact and effect behavioral nuisances have on the community, individuals, and crime, the City Council, in adopting this chapter, finds the civil penalties imposed for a violation of this chapter are justified and necessary to protect the health, property, and integrity of this community. D. Nothing in this chapter exempts property owners from compliance with state, federal, or local laws, including, but not limited to, laws on housing, eviction, retaliatory conduct, discriminatory conduct, or invasion of privacy. E. The purpose of this chapter is 1. To set forth and enforce minimum standards relating to the management of activities conducted or conditions on real property to protect the public health, safety, and welfare, and 2. To put in place remedies which will permit the city to take timely, effective, efficient administrative, or other legal action against property owners who permit or suffer nuisance-creating behaviors or conditions to occur on their properties on a continuing basis, in order to compel such owners to abate the nuisance-creating behaviors or conditions and control the environment, both physical and behavioral, on such real properties. F. The provisions of this chapter are complementary, cumulative, supplementary, and additional to any other legal remedies available, whether found in this code, state or federal laws, regulations, or case law. G. It is not the intent nor purpose of this chapter to subject owners or managers to any legal liability resulting from a tenant's actions away from the owner's or manager's own property unless it can be shown that the problem tenant is also creating a nuisance or committing a crime on the owner's or manager's property. 8.39.020 Definitions. Public nuisance means the creation or maintenance of any behavior or condition upon public or private property which is injurious to health, or indecent or offensive to the senses, or an obstruction to the free use of property, or a detriment to property values, or contributes to visual blight, so as to interfere with the comfortable enjoyment of life or property of an entire community or neighborhood, or by any considerable number of persons. Ordinance number 1355. Page 2 of 7. Building means any structure used or intended for supporting or sheltering any use or occupancy and includes any house, garage, duplex, apartment, condominium, stock cooperative or other residential structure, and includes all retail, commercial, and industrial structures. City manager means the city manager or his/her designees. Frequent means such response is occurring more than 1.5 times than the average number of such responses for property of a similar size and character. Owner means any person owning property, as shown on the last equalized assessment roll for property taxes, or other person having control or possession of the property. Person means any individual, partnership, corporation, business, association or other organization, however formed. Property means all property within the city and includes any building located on such property. Tenant or occupant means any person or group of persons occupying the whole or part of a building or land, whether or not pursuant to a written or oral lease, tenancy at will, tenancy at sufferance or otherwise. 8.39.030 Unlawful behavioral nuisances. It is hereby declared a public nuisance and a violation of this chapter for the owner, whether through the owner or owner's agent, lessee, sublessor, sublessee, or occupant of any property in the city to permit, with actual or constructive knowledge, any of the following activities or behavior to occur on the property of the owner. A. The illegal sale, use, possession, distribution, or transport of controlled substances or other illegal drugs and substances. B. The gathering, or coming and going, of people who have an intent to purchase, use, distribute, sell, or transport controlled substances on or from the property. C. The occurrence of prostitution. D. Unlawful activities of a criminal street gang as defined in the California Penal Code. E. The making or continuing, or causing to be made and continued, or any loud unnecessary or unusual noise which disturbs the peace and quiet of the neighborhood, or which causes discomfort or annoyance to any reasonable person of normal sensitiveness residing on the property or in the area. F. The unlawful discharging of a firearm or brandishing of a weapon by any person. Ordinance number 1355. Page 3 of 7. G. Unlawful fireworks displays. H. The frequent response by the Folsom Police Department to the real property or the adjacent area, but not the real property of another, as a result of any person or persons causing any combination of the following calls as indicated in the Folsom Police Department Incident Report. 1. Animal disturbances, including but not limited to competitive fighting between animals. 2. Violent criminal acts, charged or not, including, but not limited to, rape, assault, battery, homicide, or shooting. 3. Making hostile or aggressive gestures or threats that disturb the peaceful enjoyment of another person. 4. Illegal consumption of intoxicants in public view. 5. Gaming activities. 6. Juvenile disturbances. 8.39.040 Declaration of Public Nuisance. Any behavior on property in violation of the foregoing Section 8.39.030 is declared to be a public nuisance and shall be abated pursuant to the procedures set forth in this chapter or elsewhere in the Municipal Code. The procedures for abatement set forth in this chapter shall not be exclusive and shall not in any manner limit or restrict the city from enforcing other city ordinances or abating public nuisances in any other manner provided by law. 8.39.050 Notification of nuisance. Whenever the city manager or his or her designee determines that any behavior described in Section 8.39.030 exists on any property within the city manager shall give notice to the owner of the property, and if known the person responsible for causing the violation if that is not the owner, stating the section, being violated. Such notice shall set forth a reasonable time limit, in no event less than 10 calendar days, for correcting the violation, and may set forth suggested methods of correcting them. Such notice shall be served upon the owner in person or by certified mail. 8.39.060 Authority to issue administrative citation. In the event the owner or person responsible for the violation shall fail, neglect or refuse to comply with the notice of order to abate, the city manager designee shall have the authority to. Ordinance number 1355. Page 4 of 7. Issue an administrative citation in accordance with the provisions of Chapters 1.08 and 1.09 of this Code. 8.39.070 Authority to initiate administrative remedies. In the event the owner or person responsible for the violation, shall fail, neglect or refuse to comply with notice of order to abate, or to respond to the issuance of an administrative citation, the city manager shall have the authority to initiate administrative remedies in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 1.09 of this Code, in addition to all other legal remedies, criminal or civil, which may be pursued by the city to address any violation of this Code. 8.39.80 Abatement by City. A. If the nuisance is not abated within the specified abatement period, the city manager shall abate, or cause to be abated, the nuisance utilizing city employees or private contractor. The cost of abatement and administration for same shall be billed to the owner, and be due and payable within 30 days thereafter. Administrative costs shall include personnel costs, costs incurred in documenting the nuisance, costs of notices, specifications and contracts, inspections, and costs of printing and mailing required by this chapter. B. In the event the property owner disputes the cost of abatement and administration, the owner shall give notice to the city clerk of such objection and the clerk shall set the matter for hearing before the city council within 30 days after receipt of said notice, at which time the council will hear evidence presented by the owner and staff and determine whether or not the cost of abatement and administration are reasonable. The determination of the city council shall be final and not appealable. 8.39.090 Assessment Lien. In the event the costs to abate the nuisance are not paid by the owner, the city shall prepare a special assessment against the subject property requiring the abatement of nuisance. Assessment will be implemented upon recordation in the office of the county recorder of a notice of lien on the property for the amount of the assessment, or to cause the amounts of the respective assessments to be added to the next regular tax bills levied against the affected properties. 8.39.100 Alternative actions available. Nothing in this chapter shall be deemed to prevent the city from commencing a civil or criminal proceeding to abate a public nuisance or from pursuing other means available under provisions of applicable ordinances or state laws, to correct and abate health and safety hazards created by the behavioral nuisance in addition to or as alternatives to the proceedings set forth in this chapter. 8.39.110 Violations. Ordinance number 1355. Page 5 of 7. A. The owner or other person having charge or control of any such building, structure, or property who maintains any public nuisance defined in this chapter, or who violates any order of abatement made pursuant to this chapter is guilty of an infraction. B. Any person who removes or defaces any notice or order posted as required by this chapter is guilty of an infraction. C. No person shall obstruct, impede, or interfere with any representative of the city or city contractor engaged in mitigating, removing, or abating a nuisance pursuant to the provisions of this chapter, or in performing any necessary act preliminary or incidental to such work as authorized or directed pursuant to the provisions of this chapter. Section 3 Scope. Except as set forth in this ordinance, all other provisions of the Folsom Municipal Code shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4 Severability. If any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase in this ordinance or any part thereof is for any reason held to be unconstitutional, invalid, or ineffective by any court of competent jurisdiction, such decision shall not affect the validity or effectiveness of the remaining portions of this ordinance or any part thereof. The City Council declares that it would have passed each section irrespective of the fact that any one or more section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase be declared unconstitutional, invalid, or ineffective. Section 5 No mandatory duty. This ordinance is not intended to and shall not be construed or given effect in a manner that imposes upon the city or any officer or employee thereof a mandatory duty of care towards persons and property within or without the city, so as to provide a basis of civil liability for damages, except as otherwise imposed by law. Section 6 Effective date. This ordinance shall become effective 30 days from and after its passage and adoption, provided it is published in full or in summary within 20 days after its adoption in a newspaper of general circulation in the city. This ordinance was introduced and the title thereof read at the regular meeting of the City Council on August 12, 2025, and the second reading occurred at the regular meeting of the City Council on 2025. Ordinance number 1355. Page 6 of 7. On a motion by council member seconded by council member, the foregoing ordinance was passed and adopted by the City Council of the City of Folsom, State of California, this day of 2025, by the following roll call vote. Ayes, Council Member S. Noes, Council Member S. Absent, Council Member S. Abstain, Council Member S. Sarah Aquino, Mayor. Attest. Krista Fremantle, City Clerk. Ordinance number 1355. Page 7 of 7. Folsom City Council. Staff Report. Meeting date. August 26, 2025. Agenda section. New business. Subject. Resolution number 11438, a resolution adopting an initial study and mitigated negative declaration, is/MND, for the Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project and approval of project. From Environmental and Water Resources Department. Recommendation/City Council action. The Environmental and Water Resources Department recommends the City Council pass and adopt Resolution number 11438, a resolution adopting an initial study and mitigated negative declaration, is/MND, for the Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project and approval of project. Background/issue. The Environmental and Water Resources Department has developed a water and wastewater infrastructure rehabilitation and replacement (R&R) program through water and wastewater master plans and ongoing condition assessment programs. Through these efforts, portions of the water and wastewater system in the city have been identified as needing rehabilitation or replacement. A comprehensive plan has been developed for the R&R of these aging systems, and much of this work has been completed in recent years. The projects identified and included within the Water System Rehabilitation Project No. 1, WA1603, include the replacement of the waterline serving Black Miners Bar, replacing the valves on the Willow Hill Dam, and rehabilitating the waterline on Rainbow Bridge. All projects with the exception of the Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project have been completed. The Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project, proposed project, involves the replacement of the upstream and downstream valves at the Willow Hill Reservoir Dam, which is required by the Division of Safety of Dams, DSOD, as they have reached the end of their serviceable life. The project includes demolishing a portion of the existing dam infrastructure, replacing the upstream slide gate valve structure and the downstream isolation valve, installation of a fenced, raised 1. Landing and gate operator infrastructure at the top of the dam, and placing riprap and armoring on a portion of the upstream face of the dam. If it is determined that the underground segment of the outlet pipe warrants replacement, then a cured in-place pipe, CIPP, will be installed within the existing pipe. Policy/Rule. In accordance with Section 15074 of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, guidelines, the City Council shall adopt the mitigated negative declaration if it finds on the basis of the initial study and any comments received that there is no substantial evidence that the project will have a significant effect on the environment. Analysis. The proposed project will allow the city to replace the upstream and downstream valves at the Willow Hill Reservoir Dam, which is required by the DSOD, as they have reached the end of their serviceable life. An IS/MND was completed for the City of Folsom Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project in compliance with CEQA. The IS/MND evaluated the potential impacts associated with the construction and operation of the proposed project. The purpose of the IS/MND is to provide the public, state, and local agency decision-makers with information regarding the project's potential impact on the environment and provide an opportunity for comment. The initial study prepared for the proposed project identified mitigation measures to reduce the impact from potential impact to less than significant for the following environmental issue areas: biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, and tribal cultural resources. A mitigated negative declaration has been prepared for the proposed project. With implementation of these mitigation measures, there would be no significant effect on the environment resulting from the proposed project. The 30-day public review period for the draft IS/MND ran from June 12, 2025, through July 11, 2025. The draft IS/MND was filed with the State Clearinghouse of the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation to initiate the required 30-day public review period, along with the Notice of Intent to Adopt an MND, NOI, Notice of Completion, and Summary Form, SCH number 20250600604. Additionally, the NOI was filed with the Sacramento County Clerk and was published with the Sacramento Bee. One comment letter was received during the public review period from the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board, CVRWQCB, on July 8, 2025. The form letter outlines potential regulatory permit applications that may be required in advance of project implementation. The city is currently undertaking preparation of regulatory permit applications as warranted per the CVRWQCB letter. No additional comment letters were received during the public review period and no corrections, revisions, or other clarifications are required to the draft IS/MND. The draft IS/MND has been retitled as the final IS/MND. The conclusion of the final IS/MND is that the proposed Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project will not result in significant impacts or involve any conditions that should require an 2. Environmental Impact Report, EIR. Once adopted by City Council, EWR staff will incorporate these documents into the project plans and specifications and publicly bid the project for construction. EWR staff will bring a future item to City Council for approval of the construction agreement. Financial impact. Funding for the Willow Hill Dam valve replacement project is included in the fiscal year 2025-26 capital improvement budget under the Water System Rehabilitation Project No. 1, Project WA1603, adopted by the City Council. This project is fully funded through the Water Fund, Fund 520, and has sufficient funds budgeted and available to complete the project. Environmental Review. Pursuant to Section 15097 of CEQA Guidelines, the City shall adopt the Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program to implement the identified mitigation measures to avoid significant environmental effects. Attachments. 1. Resolution number 11438, a resolution adopting an initial study and mitigated negative declaration, is/MND, for the Willow Hill Dam valve replacement project and approval of project. 2. Final is/MND, which includes a mitigation monitoring and reporting program submitted. Marcus Yasutaki, Director. Environmental and Water Resources Department. 3. Attachment 1. Resolution No. 11438. A resolution adopting an initial study and mitigated negative declaration, is/MND, for the Willow Hill Dam valve replacement project and approval of project. Whereas, pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, Public Resources Code Section 21000, ETSEQ and CEQA Guidelines, the City of Folsom City prepared a public draft initial study/mitigated negative declaration, is/MND, to evaluate potential environmental impacts associated with the city's proposed Willow Hill Dam valve replacement project, proposed project, and whereas, the city is the lead agency under CEQA, and whereas, the purpose of the proposed project is to replace the upstream and downstream valves at the Willow Hill Reservoir Dam, which is required by the Division of Safety of Dams, DSOD, as the valves have reached the end of their serviceable life, and whereas, on June 12, 2025, to initiate the 30-day public review period of the draft is/MND, the city filed a Notice of Intent to adopt a mitigated negative declaration, NOI, and the is/MND for the proposed project with the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation, State Clearinghouse or SCH, and whereas, the State Clearinghouse identified the project with SCH number 20250606604, and whereas, the 30-day public review period was established between June 12, 2025 and July 11, 2025, with copies of the draft is/MND available for review on the city's website at www.folsom.ca.us/CIP projects and at the City of Folsom, Environmental and Water Resources Department, 50 Natoma Street, Folsom, California 95630, and whereas, the city received one comment letter on the is/MND from the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board, CVRWQCB, on July 8, 2025, suggesting the need for potential regulatory permitting in advance of project implementation, and whereas, the city is currently undertaking permit applications as warranted and will obtain necessary regulatory authorizations in advance of project implementation, and whereas, the city prepared a final is/MND according to CEQA guidelines and considered and incorporated all comments received by the State Clearinghouse and other agencies during the 30-day public review period, and whereas, the city notified, in writing, any commenting agencies of the date of the public hearing on the proposed project for which this is/MND will be decided upon for approval pursuant to Public Resources Code Section 21092.5, b, and CEQA Guideline Section 15073, and whereas, no significant effects on the environment have been identified which could. Resolution number 11438. Page 1 of 2. Not be mitigated, and whereas, a mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Willow Hill Dam valve replacement project has been prepared pursuant to Public Resources Code, Section 21018.6 to ensure compliance during project implementation. Now, therefore, BIT resolved that the City Council of the City of Folsom hereby finds 1. A mitigated negative declaration has been prepared in compliance with the CEQA for the proposed Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project. 2. The City Council has reviewed and considered the information in the mitigated negative declaration prior to approving the Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project. 3. On the basis of the whole record before the City Council, there is no substantial evidence that the proposed Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project will have a significant effect on the environment. 4. With implementation of the mitigation measures in the mitigated negative declaration, this Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project will not have a significant effect on the environment. 5. The mitigated negative declaration reflects the City Council's independent judgment and analysis. BIT further resolved that the City Council of the City of Folsom hereby adopts the mitigated negative declaration for the Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project as well as the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. BIT further resolved by the City Council that the Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project is hereby approved. Passed and adopted this 26th day of August 2025, by the following roll call vote. Ayes, Council Member, S. Noes, Council Member, S. Absent, Council Member, S. Abstain, Council Member, S. Sarah Aquino, Mayor. Attest. Krista Fremantle, City Clerk. Resolution number 11438. Page 2 of 2. Attachment 2. Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project. Final. Initial study / mitigated negative declaration. August 2025 0257600079.001. Prepared by City of Folsom Environmental and Water Resources Department. 50 Natoma Street, Folsom, California 95630. With technical support from Helix Environmental Planning, Inc. 1180 Iron Point Road, Suite 130. Folsom, California 95630. This page intentionally left blank. Table of Contents. Section Page 1.0 Initial Study Information Sheet 1. 2.0 Introduction 3. 3.0 Project Background 3. 3.1 Purpose 3. 3.2 Supporting Documents 3. 4.0 Project Description 4. 4.1 Project Location 4. 4.2 Project Setting and Surrounding Land Uses 4. 4.3 Project Components 5. Pre-construction Activities 5. Upstream Slide Gate Valve 5. Downstream Isolation Valve and Outlet Pipe 6. Raised Landing and Valve Operator Infrastructure 6. Riprap and Armoring 6. 4.4 Construction and Staging 7. 4.5 Operation and Maintenance 7. 4.6 General Plan Land Use Designation and Zoning 7. 4.7 City of Folsom Municipal Code 8. 5.0 Required Permits and Approvals 9. 5.1 City of Folsom 9. 5.2 Other Agencies 9. 6.0 Previous Relevant Environmental Analysis 9. 6.1 City of Folsom General Plan 9. 6.2 Tiering 9. 6.3 Incorporation of the Folsom General Plan by Reference 10. 7.0 Environmental Factors Potentially Affected 11. 8.0 Determination 12. 9.0 Environmental Initial Study Checklist 13. Aesthetics 14. 2 Agriculture and Forestry Resources 17. Table of Contents, Cont. Section Page 3 Air Quality 19. 4 Biological Resources 30. V Cultural Resources 53. 6 Energy 69. 7 Geology and Soils 71. 8 Greenhouse Gas Emissions 76. 9 Hazards and Hazardous Materials 79. X Hydrology and Water Quality 82. 11 Land Use and Planning 88. 12 Mineral Resources 90. 13 Noise 92. 14 Population and Housing 96. 15 Public Services 97. 16 Recreation 100. 17 Transportation 102. 18 Tribal Cultural Resources 106. 19 Utilities and Service Systems 110. XX Wildfire 112. XXI Mandatory Findings of Significance 114. 10.0 Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program 116. 11.0 Initial Study Preparers 116. 12.0 References 117. Table of Contents, Cont. List of Tables. No. Title Page. 1 City of Folsom Municipal Code Regulating Construction 8. 2 Sacramento County Attainment Status 20. 3 Project Construction Schedule 22. 4 Project Construction Equipment 23. 5 SMACM Thresholds of Significance 24. 6 Daily Construction Criteria Pollutant and Precursor Emissions 26. 7 Summary of Findings from Historic Era Maps depicting the AB 61. 8 Summary of Findings from Historic Era Aerial Photographs depicting the Project Area 62. 9 California Electricity Sources 2020-69. 10 Soil Characteristics 72. 11 Construction GHG Emissions 77. 12 City of Folsom Municipal Code Sections regulating the effects on hydrology and water quality from urban development 84. List of appendices. A. Figures. B. Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program. V. This page intentionally left blank. 6. Acronyms and abbreviations. μg/m3 micrograms per cubic meter. AB Assembly Bill. M. Slow above mean sea level. AB Area of potential effects. APN Assessor's parcel number. BSEC Basic Construction Emissions Control Practices. BCF/year billion cubic feet per year. BMP's Best Management Practices. BRA Biological Resources Assessment. Cox California Ambient Air Quality Standards. CaliMod California Emissions Estimator Model. Cal EPA California Environmental Protection Agency. CAL FIRE California Department of Fire and Forestry. Caltrans California Department of Transportation. CAPCO California Air Pollution Control Officers Association. CBC California Building Code. CCAA California Clean Air Act. CDFW California Department of Fish and Wildlife. CDMG California Division of Mines and Geology. CEC California Energy Commission. CEQA California Environmental Quality Act. CESA California Endangered Species Act. CFR Code of Federal Regulations. CGS California Geological Survey. CH4 Methane. CIPP Cured in Place Pipe. City of Folsom. CNDDB California Natural Diversity Database. CNEL Community Noise Equivalent Level. CNPS California Native Plant Society. CRPR California Rare Plant Rank. CO Carbon Monoxide. CO2e Carbon Dioxide Equivalent. CRA Cultural Resources Assessment. CRHR California Register of Historical Resources CVRWQCB Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board CWA Clean Water Act. SI Cubic Yards. 7. Acronyms and abbreviations, CONT. dB Decibels. dBAA Weighted Decibels. dBH Diameter at breast height. DOC California Department of Conservation. DPM Diesel Particulate Matter. DSH Diameter at standard height. DSOD Division of Safety of Dams. DTSC California Department of Toxic Substance Control. DWR Department of Water Resources. EIR Environmental Impact Report. EPA Environmental Protection Agency. FEMA Federal Emergency Management Agency. FESA Federal Endangered Species Act. FFD Folsom Fire Department. FPASP Folsom Plan Area Specific Plan. FPD Folsom Police Department. General Plan 2035 City of Folsom General Plan GHG Greenhouse Gas GPS Global Positioning System GWH Gigawatt Hours GWP Global Warming Potential HCP Habitat Conservation Plan HCP/NCCP Habitat Conservation Plan / Natural Community Conservation Plan Helix Environmental Planning, Inc. HFC Hydrofluorocarbons HUC Hydrologic Unit Code HVAC Heating, Ventilation, and Air Conditioning Hertz in/SEC inches per second IPAC Information for Planning and Consultation IPCC Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IS/MND Initial Study / Mitigated Negative Declaration LBS/Day Pounds per Day LCI Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation LDN Day-Night Sound Level LEQ 1 Hour Average Noise Level LSAA Lake and Streambed Alteration Agreement LV Vibration Velocity Level 8. MBTA Migratory Bird Treaty Act MLRA Major Land Resource Area MMRP Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program MPH Miles per Hour MRZ Mineral Resource Zones MT Metric Tons MT/Year Metric Tons per Year MTP/SCS 2020 Metropolitan Transportation Plan / Sustainable Communities Strategy N2O Nitrous Oxide NAAQS National Ambient Air Quality Standards NAHC Native American Heritage Commission NCCP Natural Community Conservation Plan NCIC North Central Information Center NEPA National Environmental Policy Act NOx Nitrogen Oxides NO2 Nitrogen Dioxide NPDES National Pollution Discharge Elimination System NRCS Natural Resources Conservation Service NRHP National Register of Historic Places NSLU Noise Sensitive Land Uses O3 Ozone ERHA Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment OHP Office of Historic Preservation OHWM Ordinary High Water Mark OSC Open Space and Conservation District OSHA Occupational Safety and Health Administration P Parks PFC Perfluorocarbons PM 2.5 Fine particulate matter with a diameter of 2.5 microns or less PM10 Coarse particulate matter with a diameter of 10 microns or less ppm parts per million ppv Peak Particle Velocity PQP Public Quasi-Public PRC Public Resources Code Proposed Project Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project Procedures State Wetland Definition and Procedures for Discharges of Dredged or Fill Material to Waters of the State RCC Regional Commercial Center ROG Reactive Organic Gases RWQCB Regional Water Quality Control Board SAA Streambed Alteration Agreement SACAG Sacramento Area Council of Governments SB Senate Bill SF6 Sulfur Hexafluoride SHPO State Historic Preservation Officer SIP State Implementation Plan SLF Sacred Lands File SMACM Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District SMRA Surface Mining and Reclamation Act SMUSD Sacramento Municipal Utility Service District SO2 Sulfur Dioxide SPL Sound Pressure Level SSC Species of Special Concern SUV Sport Utility Vehicle SVAB Sacramento Valley Air Basin SWPPP Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan SWRCB State Water Resources Control Board Tax Toxic Air Contaminants TCR Tribal Cultural Resources UAIC United Auburn Indian Community U.S. United States U.S. 50 U.S. Highway 50 USAS U.S. Army Corps of Engineers USBR U.S. Bureau of Reclamation USC United States Code USFUS U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service USGS United States Geological Survey VMT vehicle miles traveled. VOC volatile organic compound. WQC water quality control. Willow Hill Dam valve replacement project. 1.0 initial study information sheet. 1 project title, Willow Hill Dam valve replacement project. 2 lead agency name and address, City of Folsom Community Development Department. 50 Natoma Street, Folsom, California 95630. 3 contact person and phone number, Kelsey Gugino, P. 916-461-6166. 4 project location, 321 Barnhill Drive, Folsom, California 95630. 5 general plan designation, Parks, P, Public and Quasi-Public Facility, PQP, and Regional Commercial Center, RCC. 6 zoning, Open Space and Conservation District, OSC, General Commercial, Planned Development District, C3PD, and General Apartment, Planned Development District, R4PD. 7 description of project. The Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project, proposed project, would replace, rehabilitate, and improve the existing dam infrastructure at the Willow Hill Reservoir in the city of Folsom. The proposed project would replace the upstream slide gate valve structure and downstream isolation valve, install a fenced raised landing and gate operator infrastructure at the top of the dam, and place riprap and armoring on the dam face. 8 surrounding land uses and setting. The approximately 18.3-acre project site is located within the Willow Hill Reservoir Community Park and consists of the Willow Hill Reservoir, areas of open space, a construction staging area, and 4 potential construction access routes. Surrounding land uses include Folsom High School campus, a parking lot, residential development, and Iron Point Road to the north, residential development and Barnhill Drive to the east, residential development, open space, stands of oak trees, and U.S. Highway 50 to the south, and the Prairie City Stadium of Folsom High School and Prairie City Road to the west. 9 other public agencies whose approval may be required, e.g., permits, financing approval, or participation agreement. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, USAS. Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board, CVRWQCB. California Department of Fish and Wildlife, CDFW. Native American Heritage Commission, NAHC. Office of Historic Preservation, OHP. August 2025. City of Folsom. 10. Department of Water Resources, DWR, Division of Safety of Dams, DSOD. 10 have California Native American tribes traditionally and culturally affiliated with the project area requested consultation pursuant to Public Resources Code Section 21080.3.1? If so, is there a plan for consultation that includes, for example, the determination of significance of impacts to tribal cultural resources, procedures regarding confidentiality, etc.? On February 3, 2025, formal invitations to participate in Assembly Bill, AB 52 consultation were sent by the city to the 3 California Native American tribes named on the city's AB 52 contact list. The letters provided each tribe with the location and a brief description of the proposed project, contact information for the city's authorized representative, and a notification that the tribe has 30 days to request consultation. A subsequent project notification letter, dated February 25, 2025, was sent to Wilton Rancheria to reflect a correction in the tribe's address. The tribes included Wilton Rancheria, initial letter dated February 3, 2025, and subsequent letter dated February 25, 2025, to reflect corrected address. Ione Band of Miwok Indians, letter dated February 3, 2025. United Auburn Indian Community, UAIC, of the Auburn Rancheria, letter dated February 3, 2025. The 30-day consultation window for the Ione Band of Miwok Indians and the UAIC of the Auburn Rancheria opened on February 3, 2025, and neither tribe requested formal consultation. Following receipt of the corrected letter, dated February 25, 2025, Ms. Vanessa Creamer of the Wilton Rancheria responded to the city on March 6, 2025, and requested to open consultation due to the project's location within the tribe's ancestral and culturally affiliated territory. On March 14, 2025, Wilton Rancheria sent a subsequent email to the city and stated that, although the project site is within the tribe's ancestral territory, the tribe did not have further comments. On March 18, 2025, the city corresponded with Wilton Rancheria regarding continued consultation, and on March 19, 2025, the tribe stated that formal consultation was no longer requested. As such, consultation with Wilton Rancheria concluded on March 19, 2025. 2.0 Introduction. Helix Environmental Planning, Incorporated, Helix, has prepared this initial study/mitigated negative declaration, is/MND, in coordination with the City of Folsom City, per the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, of 1970, Public Resources Code PRC Section 21000, ETSEQ, and the CEQA Guidelines, California Code of Regulations, Title 14, Section 15000, ETSEQ. This is/MND addresses the proposed Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project, proposed project, and whether it may cause significant effects on the environment. This is/MND focuses on any effects on the environment which are specific to the proposed project and were not analyzed as potentially significant effects in the Environmental Impact Report, EIR, prepared for the 2035 City of Folsom General Plan, as amended, City 2018, City 2024. In particular, consistent with PRC 21083.3, this initial study focuses on any effects on the environment which are specific to the proposed project, or to the parcels on which the project would be located, which were not analyzed as potentially significant effects in the General Plan EIR, or for which substantial new information shows that identified effects would be more significant than described in the previous EIRs. For additional information regarding the relationship between the proposed project and the previous EIRs, see Section 6.0, Previous Relevant Environmental Analysis, of this is/MND. The is/MND is also intended to assess whether any environmental effects of the project are susceptible to substantial reduction or avoidance by the choice of specific revisions in the project, by the imposition of conditions, or by other means 15152, b. 2, of the CEQA Guidelines. If such revisions, conditions, or other means are identified, they will be identified as mitigation measures. This is/MND relies on CEQA Guidelines 15064 and 15064.4 in its determination of the significance of environmental effects. According to Section 15064, the finding as to whether a project may have one or more significant effects shall be based on substantial evidence in the record, and that controversy alone, without substantial evidence of a significant effect, does not trigger the need for an EIR. 3.0 Project Background. 3.1 Purpose. The proposed project involves the Willow Hill Reservoir located within the Willow Hill Reservoir Community Park. The City of Folsom, in consultation with the Department of Water Resources, Division of Safety of Dams, DSOD, has determined that the upstream and downstream valve at the Willow Hill Reservoir Dam have reached the end of their serviceable life and warrant rehabilitation and replacement. The purpose of this proposed project is to replace, rehabilitate, and improve the dam infrastructure to extend the serviceable life of the dam. 3.2 Supporting Documents. The following project-specific technical analyses were used in preparation of this is/MND and are incorporated by reference, as well as listed in Chapter 12.0, References. Air Quality and Greenhouse Gas Emissions Analysis, prepared by Helix, April 2025. Biological Resources Assessment, prepared by Helix, January 2025. Cultural Resources Assessment, prepared by Helix, April 2025. The project-specific technical analyses listed above can be found on the City of Folsom Environmental and Water Resources website under Engineering and Administration, CIP Projects, at this link, https://www.folsom.ca/government/environmental-water-resources/engineering-administration/CIP projects. The project-specific technical analyses are also available for review during normal business hours at the following location: City of Folsom, Environmental and Water Resources Department 50, Natoma Street, Folsom, California 95630. 4.0 Project Description. 4.1 Project Location. The project site is located within the Willow Hill Reservoir Community Park, located at 321 Barnhill Drive in the City of Folsom, Sacramento County, California. The project site is conservatively estimated to contain 18.3 acres and is located on portions of 3 parcels situated in south/central City of Folsom. Parcel 1, Assessor's Parcel Number APN 072-2780-080, which comprises the Willow Hill Reservoir, is an estimated 18.87-acre parcel located south of Iron Point Road and west of Barnhill Drive. Parcel 2, APN 072-0010-112, comprises the southern portion of the Folsom High School campus and consists of 17.4 acres located northeast of Prairie City Road, adjacent to the south and west of Parcel 1, and west of Parcel 3. Lastly, Parcel 3, APN 072-2780-074, which comprises the southern portion of the Willow Hill Reservoir Community Park, is an estimated 7-acre parcel located north of US Highway 50, US 50, and northwest of Blossom Rock Lane. The total acreage of the 3 parcels is approximately 43.27 acres. Figure 1 provides a regional map of the project site, and Figure 2 provides an aerial view of the project site. Note: all figures are included in Appendix A to this is/MND. The project site is located in the Rancho Rio de los Americanos land grant and is depicted on the U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, Folsom, California 7.5-minute quadrangle map. The project site consists of the Willow Hill Reservoir, areas of open space, a potential construction staging area, and 4 potential construction access routes. Although the project site is conservatively estimated to contain 18.3 acres, project construction would primarily occur within the vicinity of the dam located at the southern edge of the reservoir. 4.2 Project Setting and Surrounding Land Uses. The elevation of the site ranges from approximately 297 feet above mean sea level, (MSLO), at the lowest point to approximately 330 feet (MSLO) at the top of the dam. The perimeter of the reservoir remains fairly level. The Willow Hill Reservoir is fed by an inlet valve that receives raw water from Folsom Lake. A riprap line spillway is located immediately east of the existing dam, which drains to the Rebel Hill Ditch. The Rebel Hill Ditch flows southwest just outside the southern boundary of the project site and terminates at Prairie City Road. The project site is set within a primarily residential area of the city. Surrounding land uses include the Folsom High School campus, a parking lot, residential development, and Iron Point Road to the north. Residential development and Barnhill Drive to the east, residential development, open space, stands of oak trees, and US 50 to the south, and the Prairie City Stadium of Folsom High School and Prairie City Road to the west. 4.3 Project Components. The proposed project would replace, rehabilitate, and improve the existing dam infrastructure at the Willow Hill Reservoir. The project would replace the upstream slide gate valve structure and the downstream isolation valve, install a fenced raised landing and gate operator infrastructure at the top of the dam, and place riprap and armoring on the upstream face of the dam. No construction is proposed on the outfall pipe located south of the dam. The project components are discussed in further detail in the following sections. Pre-construction activities. Prior to construction, the northern inlet to the reservoir would be temporarily shut off to lower the water elevation of the reservoir via evaporation. The reservoir would be lowered to the maximum extent feasible to facilitate construction of the upstream slide gate valve. Temporary security chain link fencing would be installed around the perimeter of the proposed staging area to prevent unauthorized access during construction. Additionally, the pedestrian pathway along the top of the dam would be temporarily fenced off during construction. An approximately 130-foot-long temporary coffer dam would be installed along the southern portion of the reservoir, approximately 30 feet north of the upstream slide gate valve, to allow for construction in the dry. See Figure 3 for the proposed coffer dam alignment. Prior to installation of the temporary coffer dam, the area where the coffer dam would be installed would be cleared of any debris, such as silt or vegetation. The exact areas requiring silt or vegetation removal would be quantified once the water elevation of reservoir is lowered. Then, a crane would install modular steel frames into the reservoir bed, followed by installation of an impervious PVC fabric liner onto the frames to erect the temporary coffer dam. Once installed, it is anticipated that the water elevation would stand at a maximum of 10 feet against the temporary coffer dam. Finally, the construction area between the coffer dam and the face of the reservoir dam would be dewatered using pumps. Following installation of the coffer dam and dewatering of the construction area, an excavator would be used to remove any debris and/or compacted soil on and around the existing upstream slide gate valve to allow for access to the gate valve structure. The exact areas requiring cleanup and soil removal would be quantified following dewatering of the construction area. Upstream slide gate valve. Demolition of the upstream slide gate valve would involve removal of the existing slide gate valve structure, concrete base, and exposed steel dock supports. See Figures 4 and 5 for the demolition and vegetation removal details. The concrete head wall and other concrete components of the valve system would remain in place. Any remaining exposed bolts would be cut flush with the concrete face and coated with epoxy. Construction of the new upstream slide gate valve structure would involve installation of a crushed rock aggregate base, a new gate valve frame, an 18-inch steel inlet pipe, and an 18-inch slide gate valve. Crushed rock aggregate would be installed at the base of the existing concrete head wall to provide a foundation for the new slide gate valve structure, which would be grouted in place. A new 18-inch steel inlet pipe would be installed within the new gate valve frame to connect to the existing 18-inch outlet pipe. An 18-inch slide gate valve would then be installed over the new inlet pipe. Finally, a removable rack would be installed over the slide gate valve structure to protect and maintain the integrity of the slide gate structure. See Figure 6 for the proposed site plans. Downstream isolation valve and outlet pipe. The downstream isolation valve, located approximately 75 feet downstream of the face of the dam, is difficult to operate and warrants replacement. The purpose of the isolation valve is to control the water flow between the upstream slide gate valve and the outfall pipe. During construction of this project component and prior to commencement of the upstream slide gate valve replacement, the contractor would assess the condition of the existing underground segment of the 18-inch outlet pipe between the upstream inlet valve and downstream isolation valve. During construction, if it is determined that this segment of the outlet pipe warrants replacement, then a cured in-place pipe, CIPP, would be installed within the existing outlet pipe. The CIPP method is a trenchless technique that would involve inserting a resin-saturated felt tube into the existing outlet pipe. The tube is then expanded and cured using heat and/or steam to form a seamless and jointless pipe within the existing outlet pipe. Raised landing and valve operator infrastructure. A 28-square-foot raised concrete landing would be installed at the top of the dam to provide access to the proposed slide gate valve operator infrastructure. The exact location and elevation of the proposed landing would be finalized based on the topography of the dam following completion of the project components discussed above. The raised landing would be installed adjacent to the existing pedestrian trail at the top of the dam and would be enclosed in 6-foot-high chain link fence to prevent unauthorized access into the operator area. The new gate operator infrastructure would be installed within the enclosed landing. An approximately 58-foot-long, 2-foot-wide reinforced concrete grade beam would be constructed on the dam face between the raised landing and the upstream valve infrastructure. Existing soil and sediment along the dam face in the vicinity of the proposed grade beam would be removed prior to laying concrete. Soil and sediment removal would be limited to the maximum extent feasible to preserve the face of the dam. The purpose of the grade beam is to provide structural support for the new valve stem guide and vent pipe and provide access to the upstream slide gate valve for maintenance and operation activities. A valve operating stem guide would be installed along the length of the new grade beam and would connect the upstream slide gate valve to the gate operator in the enclosed landing. Additionally, a 3/4-inch vent pipe would be installed directly to the new grade beam, which would allow the water column to separate upon closure of the slide gate valve. Riprap and armoring. Due to the age of the dam, erosion of the upstream dam face has occurred and warrants improvement to increase the integrity and serviceable life of the dam. Low points in the dam face would be infilled with lean concrete and the dam face would be armored with riprap and slash or weathered bedrock. Additional riprap and slash or weathered bedrock would be installed adjacent to the new grade beam. The extent and exact location of the proposed infill and armoring would be determined based on the condition of the dam face following installation of the proposed infrastructure improvements. 4.4 Construction and staging. Construction of the proposed project would be completed in a single phase. Construction activities would take place during daytime hours between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays and between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Saturdays, in accordance with Section 8.42.060 of the Folsom Municipal Code. No construction would be permitted to take place on Sundays or holidays. City 2025. Construction would last a total of approximately 6 months, including approximately 3 months to lower the elevation of the reservoir and approximately 3 months for project construction. Construction is anticipated to require minimal construction vehicles including a crane, an excavator, a concrete truck, a dump truck, and a flatbed truck. Other construction equipment would include a welder, a compressor, and other hand tools. If it is determined that a CIPP would need to be installed within the existing 18-inch outlet pipe, then an additional water supply truck and water heater would be required for this project component. During construction of the proposed project, it is anticipated that up to 6 construction workers would be on site. Construction staging is proposed approximately immediately northwest of the Willow Hill Reservoir Dam between the existing trail and reservoir. Potential access routes to the construction area include existing paved, gravel, and dirt trails ranging from approximately 10 feet to 25 feet in width and are located to the east of the dam off of Barnhill Drive, to the southeast of the dam off of Blossom Rock Lane, to the southwest of the dam off of Prairie City Road, and along the western perimeter of the reservoir off of a Folsom High School parking lot. Improvements to the proposed construction access routes are not anticipated. However, if the access routes are determined to be of insufficient width to accommodate the anticipated construction equipment, minor improvements such as vegetation removal or grading/widening of the existing trails could occur. 4.5 Operation and maintenance. Once construction of the proposed dam infrastructure improvements is completed, the city would conduct standard operations and maintenance activities. Operation of the dam would be periodic in nature and would typically involve 2 city staff at a given time. Standard operation activities would involve city staff accessing the slide gate valve operator infrastructure and exercising the upstream slide gate valve and downstream isolation valve approximately twice per year. Occasional maintenance activities would involve periodic testing of the valve as well as general maintenance to the valve operator infrastructure as needed. It is anticipated that access to the dam during operation and maintenance would be via the existing trails. 4.6 General Plan Land Use Designation and Zoning. The City of Folsom 2035 General Plan, as amended, is a long-term planning document that guides growth and land development in the city. It provides the foundation for establishing community goals and supporting policies, and directs appropriate land uses for all land parcels within the city. Under the General Plan, Parcel 1 is designated Parks, P. Parcel 2 is designated Public and Quasi-Public Facility, PQP, and Parcel 3 is designated Regional Commercial Center, RCC. Developed land uses in the City of Folsom are regulated specifically by the city's zoning code, Title 17 of the Folsom Municipal Code, in addition to the other adopted regulations and programs that apply to all proposed development within the city. In more detail than the general plan, the zoning code regulates land uses on a parcel-by-parcel basis throughout the city. To achieve this regulation, the city assigns each parcel within the city to a zoning district, such as a district for single-family homes. Regulations for each district apply equally to all properties within the district. Parcel 1 is zoned Open Space and Conservation District, OSC, Parcel 2 is zoned General Commercial, Planned Development District, C3PD, and Parcel 3 is zoned General Apartment, Planned Development District, R4PD. 4.7 City of Folsom Municipal Code. The city regulates many aspects of construction and development through requirements and ordinances established in the Folsom Municipal Code, including but not limited to the codes summarized in Table 1. These requirements and ordinances of the Folsom Municipal Code are hereby incorporated by reference into the proposed project description as though fully set forth herein. Copies of these documents may be reviewed at the City of Folsom, Office of the City Clerk, 50 Natoma Street, Folsom, California, 95630. Table 1, City of Folsom Municipal Code regulating construction. Code Section. Code Name. Effect of Code. 8.42. Noise Control. Establishes interior and exterior noise standards that may not be exceeded within structures, including residences. Establishes time periods for construction operations. 8.70. Stormwater Management and Discharge Control. Establishes conditions and requirements for the discharge of urban pollutants and sediments to the storm drainage system, requires preparation and implementation of stormwater pollution prevention plans. 9.34. Hazardous Materials Disclosure. Defines hazardous materials, requires filing of a hazardous material disclosure form by businesses that manufacture, use, or store such materials. 9.35. Underground storage of hazardous substances. Establishes standards for the construction and monitoring of facilities used for the underground storage of hazardous substances and establishes a procedure for issuance of permits for the use of these facilities. 12.16. Tree Preservation. Regulates the cutting or modification of trees, including oaks, and specified other trees, requires a tree permit prior to cutting or modification, establishes mitigation requirements for cut or damaged trees. 13.26. Water Conservation. Prohibits the wasteful use of water, establishes sustainable landscape requirements, defines water use restrictions. 14.29. Grading Code. Requires a grading permit prior to the initiation of any grading, excavation, fill or dredging, establishes standards, conditions, and requirements for grading, erosion control, stormwater drainage, and revegetation. 14.32. Flood damage prevention. Restricts or prohibits uses that cause water or erosion hazards, or that result in damaging increases in erosion or in flood heights, requires that uses vulnerable to floods be protected against flood damage, controls the modification of floodways, regulates activities that may increase flood damage or that could divert floodwaters. Source: City 2025. 5.0 Required permits and approvals. A list and brief description of the approvals and/or regulatory permits required to implement the proposed project is provided below. This environmental document is intended to address the environmental impacts associated with all the following decision actions and approvals. 5.1 City of Folsom. Adoption of the initial study, mitigated negative declaration, and mitigation monitoring and reporting program. The City of Folsom Planning Commission will act as the lead agency as defined by CEQA and will have authority to determine if this is/MND is adequate under CEQA. Project approval. The City of Folsom City Council will consider approval of the proposed project. 5.2 Other agencies. California Department of Fish and Wildlife, CDFW. Obtain a Fish and Game Code Section 1602 Lake and Streambed Alteration Agreement from the CDFW, Region 2, North Central Region. Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board, CVRWQCB obtain a Clean Water Act, CWA, Section 401 Water Quality Certification from the CVRWQCB, Region 5. California Department of Water Resources, DWR, Division of Safety of Dams, DSOD. A condition of DSOD's approval of the proposed project requires CEQA compliance. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, USAS obtain authorization under a CWA Section 404 nationwide permit from the USAS to discharge dredged or fill material. 6.0 Previous relevant environmental analysis. 6.1 City of Folsom General Plan. The City of Folsom 2035 General Plan, as amended, provides a framework for the long-range development of Folsom City 2024. The program EIR for the General Plan provides relevant policy guidance for this environmental analysis, City 2018. The EIR evaluated the environmental impacts that could result from implementation of the City of Folsom 2035 General Plan. The program EIR is intended to provide information to the public and to decision-makers regarding the potential effects of adoption and implementation of the General Plan. 6.2 Tiering. Tiering refers to the relationship between a program-level EIR, where long-range programmatic cumulative impacts are the focus of the environmental analysis, and subsequent environmental analyses such as the subject document, which focus primarily on issues unique to a smaller project within the larger program or plan. Through tiering, a subsequent environmental analysis can incorporate, by reference, discussion that summarizes general environmental data found in the program EIR that establishes cumulative impacts and mitigation measures, the planning context, and/or the regulatory background. These broad-based issues need not be re-evaluated subsequently, having been previously identified and evaluated at the program stage. Tiering focuses the environmental review on the project's specific significant effects that were not examined in the prior environmental review, or that are susceptible to substantial reduction or avoidance by specific revisions in the project, by the imposition of conditions or by other means. Section 21093(b) of the Public Resources Code requires the tiering of environmental review whenever feasible, as determined by the lead agency. In the case of the proposed project, this initial study tiers from the EIR for the City of Folsom General Plan, adopted in 2018. The Folsom General Plan, as amended, is a project that is related to the proposed project and, pursuant to 15152(a) of the CEQA guidelines, tiering of environmental documents is appropriate. CEQA Guidelines 15152(e) specifically provides that when tiering is used, the later EIRs or negative declarations shall refer to the prior EIR and state where a copy of the prior EIR may be examined. The later environmental document should state that the lead agency is using the tiering concept and that the environmental document is being tiered with the earlier EIR. The above-mentioned EIRs can be reviewed at the following location: City of Folsom Community Development Department, 50 Natoma Street, Folsom, California 95630. 6.3 Incorporation of the Folsom General Plan by reference. Due to various references to the Folsom General Plan EIR in this proposed project, and to its importance relative to understanding the environmental analysis that has occurred to date with respect to development in the Folsom area, the Folsom General Plan EIR is hereby incorporated by reference pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15150. 7.0 Environmental factors potentially affected. The environmental factors checked below would be potentially affected by this project, involving at least one impact that may require mitigation to reduce the impact from potential impact to less than significant as indicated by the checklist on the following pages. An initial study is conducted by a lead agency to determine if a project may have a potentially significant effect on the environment, CEQA Guidelines Section 15063. An EIR must be prepared if an initial study indicates that further analysis is needed to determine whether a significant impact will occur or if there is substantial evidence in the record that a project may have a significant effect on the environment. CEQA Guidelines Section 15064F. Aesthetics. Agriculture and forestry resources. Air quality. Biological resources. Cultural resources. Energy. Geology and soils. Greenhouse gas emissions. Hazards and hazardous materials. Hydrology and water quality. Land use and planning. Mineral resources. Noise. Population and housing. Public services. Recreation. Transportation. Tribal cultural resources. Utilities and service systems. Wildfire. Mandatory findings of significance. Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project. 8.0 Determination. On the basis of this initial evaluation, d. I find that the proposed project could not have a significant effect on the environment, and a negative declaration will be prepared. 181. I find that although the proposed project could have a significant effect on the environment, there will not be a significant effect in this case because revisions in the project have been made by or agreed to by the project proponent. A mitigated negative declaration will be prepared. d. I find that the proposed project may have a significant effect on the environment, and an environmental impact report is required. d. I find that the proposed project may have a potential impact or potentially significant and less mitigated impact on the environment, but at least one effect I, has been adequately analyzed in an earlier document pursuant to applicable legal standards, and 2, has been addressed by mitigation measures based on the earlier analysis as described on attached sheets. An environmental impact report is required, but it must analyze only the effects that remain to be addressed. I find that although the proposed project could have a significant effect on the environment, because all potentially significant effects, a, have been analyzed adequately in an earlier EIR pursuant to applicable standards, and b, have been avoided or mitigated pursuant to that earlier EIR, including revisions or mitigation measures that are imposed upon the proposed project. Nothing further is required. Signature. Printed name. Date. E11QE, E.C:/E.U.E.O, Title. City of Folsom 12 June 2025. Willow Hill Dam Valve Replacement Project. 9.0 Environmental Initial Study Checklist. Responses to the following questions and related discussion indicate if the proposed project will have or will potentially have a significant adverse impact on the environment, either individually or cumulatively with other projects. All phases of project planning, implementation, and operation are considered. Mandatory findings of significance are addressed in Section 9.xxi. A potentially significant impact is appropriate if there is substantial evidence that an effect may be significant. If there are one or more potentially significant impact entries when the determination is made, an EIR is required. B. Less than significant with mitigation applies where the incorporation of mitigation measures has reduced an effect from potentially significant impact to a less than significant impact. The lead agency must describe the mitigation measures and briefly explain how they reduce the effect to a less than significant level. Mitigation measures from earlier analyses may be cross-referenced. C. Less than significant impact applies where the project creates no significant impacts, only less than significant impacts. D. No impact applies where a project does not create an impact in that category. No impact answers do not require an explanation if they are adequately supported by the information sources cited by the lead agency which show that the impact simply does not apply to projects like the one involved, e.g., the project falls outside a fault rupture zone. A no impact answer should be explained where it is based on project-specific factors as well as general standards, e.g., the project would not expose sensitive receptors to pollutants, based on a project-specific screening analysis. August 2025. City of Folsom. 100. I. Aesthetics. Less than. Potentially significant, less than significant, with significant no. Impact mitigation, impact. Except as provided in Public Resources Code Section 21099. Would the project a. have a substantial adverse effect on a scenic vista, b. substantially damage scenic resources, including, but not limited to, trees, rock outcroppings, and historic buildings within a state scenic highway, c. substantially degrade the existing visual character or quality of public views of the site and its surroundings. Public views are those that are experienced from publicly accessible vantage point. If the project is in an urbanized area, would the project conflict with applicable zoning and other regulations governing scenic quality? D. Create a new source of substantial light or glare which would adversely affect day or nighttime views in the area. Environmental setting. The project site is located within the Willow Hill Reservoir Community Park in the city of Folsom. Built structures on Willow Hill Reservoir Community Park includes play equipment, a restroom building, a floating fishing dock, picnic tables, benches. The park contains existing paved, gravel, and dirt pathways and various trees and vegetation that contribute to the overall visual aesthetic of the park. The project site is surrounded by the Folsom High School campus, a parking lot, residential development, and Iron Point Road to the north, residential development and Barnhill Drive to the east, residential development, open space, stands of oak trees, and US 50 to the south, and the Prairie City Stadium of Folsom High School and Prairie City Road to the east. The elevation of the site ranges from approximately 310 feet m slow at the intersection of the proposed southwestern access route and